the Animal Doctor, we explain nutritional options as steps up a ladder. Now that you know what you're looking for on the back of the bag, you can place your food where it belongs on the nutritional staircase. On the bottom rung would be generic diets and poor quality people scraps. These are the most unbalanced and potentially toxic. These foods are missing important key nutrients and contain toxic artificial preservatives and carcinogenic dyes. There's often very little or no meat in these diets. Today's people scraps are often totally devoid of the calcium that is so crucial to a carnivore's diet. Years ago, humans ate differently. They gave raw meat and bone scraps to their dogs. Today, the pets get all cooked scraps and things like processed pasta, trans fat gravies, starchy snacks, and high phosphorus meat without bone, which would be high in calcium and is necessary to properly balance the phosphorus that's in the meat. Next up the ladder are grocery store kibbles or dry food. These are considered balanced according to the minimal AAFCO requirements. Most contain excessive starch, poor fat sources, artificial dyes, artificial preservatives, common allergenic grains, rendered sources of meat, genetically modified grains such as soy and corn, and lots of salt. Next up are premium kibble diets and canned foods. There is no AAFCO definition for premium diets. These companies have designated themselves as premium. They used to be sold through exclusive markets such as veterinary clinics. Today they are readily available in all conventional pet retail outlets. The companies are generally engaged in pet food research and promote their foods heavily through veterinary education. These companies generally have a line of veterinary prescription diets as well. As are the foods that are lower on the ladder. These too are heavy in carbohydrates. Did you know that the guaranteed analysis on which everyone relies and is required by AAFCO does not include the percentage of carbohydrate in the diet? Until recently, many of these foods contained artificial preservatives, but thankfully no dye. Rarely will you find meat as the first item listed in the ingredients in these premium diets. Ingredients are listed in order of weight. It would be nice to see chicken, beef, or turkey first. Also beware of the starch breakdown. Instead of saying corn, they break it down into corn parts. This makes each part weigh less and allows for the meat to falsely come up higher on the list. Tricky, but we're on to ya. The specific meat is almost always first in the natural kibble diets. Most do not use wheat, corn, or soy. They never use artificial preservatives or dyes. But did you know that there is no AAFCO definition for natural? There is great variation in quality and reputation among these. Many still contain a lot of grains, in other words, starch or sugar, just as those below them on the ladder. Manufacturers must include starch to make kibble, unless they include a processed vegetable protein, and that comes with a whole new set of problems. Starch is considered inflammatory. Excess starch from any source can lead to insulin resistance and obesity. Yes, you've heard that before. This dietary addiction to carbs afflicts our pets as well as us. The so-called grain-free diets still include starch, such as potato or tapioca. So read your labels. So if we are attempting to mimic what is in a prey, that would be meat and moisture. Canned foods are a step up. I have often told clients, I would rather see you feeding your kitty carnivore a grocery store canned diet rather than a premium dry kibble. Studies show an increased incidence in the prevalence of urinary crystals in pets who are eating free choice dry diets versus those who eat twice a day wet diets. And even many conventional veterinarians recommend wet food once a pet develops urinary tract disease. There's a huge difference in quality among canned diets. Some look like meat inside, but are full of corn or rice or starch shaped into little meat chunks. Many are extremely high in salt. Why? This is very addictive. Due to this, some grocery store canned diets are the most difficult to wean off of and onto a healthier, less salty food. Cats love fish for this high salt content as well. Repetitive fish can deplete the body's B vitamins. Fish oils quickly become rancid and can be a source of deadly trans fats. Hyperthyroid cats should never be fed fish due to its high iodine content. This can exacerbate the hyperthyroid disorder. So what is at the top of the ladder? Home prepared or commercial, balanced, pre-concept, raw diets, of course. Home preparing can save some money, but an appropriate recipe and menu plan must be followed. It is not okay to mix and match recipes. Authors need to have shown over generations of animals that their menu plans are balanced. You can't delete an ingredient, let's say brewer's yeast, just because you heard it's bad, without realizing that it was in there as a critical source of B vitamins. Most raw diet manufacturers have gone to great expense to have their diets analyzed for appropriate balance. Thankfully, these diets spare us a lot of research and preparation time. Most of these diets have 4 things in common, the 4 components of prey: flesh, bone or calcium, organs, and blended vegetation to mimic what is present in a prey or what a carnivore might forage for if allowed to do so in the wild. These diets are frozen, which destroys parasites, and some are high pressure pasteurized, which destroys pathogenic bacteria. Remember, there have been hundreds of pet food recalls. The vast majority have been dry kibble diets contaminated with aflatoxins. So don't be misled to think that raw diets are unsafe. We have utilized raw diets for new puppies and kittens' healthy growth, and in place of prescription diets for obesity, diabetes, urinary crystals, stones, inflammatory bowel disease, allergic dermatitis, chronic ear infections, liver disease, portosystemic shunts, kidney disease, epilepsy, Cushing's disease, pancreatitis, arthritis, all types of cancer, and more things. We are successful with this approach. This is the foundation of everything that we recommend. Ideally, eating all fresh food is preferable to consuming processed food. Thankfully, there are many reputable manufacturers of raw diets, so that we do not need to rely on home preparing. The reason fresh food is best is that all the nutrients are intact. Researchers are discovering all the time nutrient deficiencies that are responsible for given disorders. In the Pottinger study that we saw earlier, it was taurine that was identified later as a missing nutrient. Probably the most monumental recent breakthrough is the link between vitamin D deficiency and breast cancer. About this time in a discussion with a client, the client says, "But what about my pet's teeth? If the raw food is all wet and mushy, don't they need dry kibble to clean their teeth?" This is a ridiculous fallacy perpetrated by our profession. It's like saying, munch on a box of sugar cubes, they'll clean your teeth. Later, I'll discuss more how to use bones to clean teeth. Our premise is, feed your pet the freshest, most balanced diet possible in the hope that you will provide the nutrient tools his body needs to prevent a condition to which he is predisposed or to manage a disorder of which he is afflicted. And we have learned miracles can happen.